Hi, I'm Cynthia Ng and we are bringing you a very special episode of Vantage Point from Nepal. Nepal is a country rich in natural beauty and is famous for its stunning scenery as well as its exotic culture. However, this country of 28 million population still grapple with problems a lot of developing countries face, such as poverty, access to basic infrastructure and also access to quality education. Right now here at the Danuva village, which is about an hour's drive away from the capital city of Kathmandu, whereby an NGO called OLE Nepal has embarked on a project to increase access to quality education by providing each child with a laptop. And just how effective is this program? Let's find out. The Chandi Devi Primary School here is one of the 35 schools selected by OLE Nepal, an abbreviation for Open Learning Exchange, to be part of the One Laptop Per Child program. One Laptop Per Child is an international initiative and it has one main objective: to bring learning opportunities to children in poor and marginalized communities. For a country like Nepal, whereby literacy rate stands at about 60%, it is one of the least developed countries in the world. Homes in the countryside have minimal access to electricity. Many still use candles or even bonfires to light up their homes. The roads, meanwhile, are underdeveloped. For the 280 children studying in Chandi Devi, some travel by foot for hours to come to school. Teacher Samiksha Kadra says while the families here recognize the importance of education to lift them out of poverty, a large majority of students drop out early on so that they can help their families or tend to the family's farm, agriculture being the mainstay of the economy here.
More 14-15 years go drop school because they earn money, extra work, so like to drop school. School has not been any near place. Also family problems, economic problems. So many face to on education.
This is Rabi Karmacharya, founder of OLE Nepal. Recognizing there is an immense need to change how education is delivered in his country, Rabi decided to leave job in a tech-based company in California, returned to Nepal and got involved with other volunteers to implement the One Laptop Per Child program in 2006. By 2007, Rabi founded OLE Nepal with a vision to transform the country's public education system using technology in the classroom.
OLE Nepal was started in 2007 by a group of people like myself with the aim to see how we can use technology to improve public education. There are a lot of problems we're facing in education, especially in the public sector in Nepal. And namely, a lot of the education that our children are getting are not of high quality. What you'll notice in many schools are students are repeating what the teacher is saying and without really understanding what it is that they're learning. So it's more of a rote learning that's happening. And also, if you look at on many of these, if you travel in Nepal, Nepal is geographically very diverse and very inaccessible in many places. And that is one of the main reasons that we have not been able to deliver, though government and many other partners are sort of trying very sincerely. They're not able to deliver quality education because of the accessibility problem, and trying to deliver educational materials is very challenging. So it's the quality of education that children are getting is very low, and then even if we have quality education materials, students do not have access to them. So we thought that if we can use, there is an opportunity to use technology and all the advances taking place all around the world, and also a lot of innovations happening in technology, in power, in all of that, and see how we can use those innovations and advancements in technology to improve these two main things about quality of education and access to quality education in Nepal.
Okay. This green and white device called XO laptop is about the size of a small textbook. It is designed to be lightweight, cheap and adaptable to the conditions of the developing world so that children, even those living in remote areas, can access education materials from the laptop even with little connectivity to the internet.
Okay, so the laptop itself, the one laptop per child laptop, also known as an XO laptop. So it was the first prototype came out in 2005. 2006 is when we got our hands on it and we started playing with them in Nepal. But what we also do is we go way beyond just the laptops. So for us, the laptop, the one that we're using is excellent. I mean, we really love it. Kids love it. It's very durable. You cannot really break it very easily. It's not unlike very tablets or something like that you give to kids. You can break in 2 days. We have been working for 4 years in some of the schools, and it has withstood all the kind of beatings that it gets from students. It's very sort of water resistant, and it has pretty much all the features that you would need, but it's designed in a way that encourages learning. It's designed that is very simple, easy to use, not many complications. So it's very important that, you know, whatever we use in schools in rural areas is something that's a very low maintenance, and it's durable, and it's low cost. So right now the cost is about $205, $210. So by the time we get them here shipping, it comes from Shanghai, it gets to about, I'd say, $240, $250. That's the cost.
The XO laptop is a small machine with a big mission. But the people behind this initiative recognize that you can't just drop laptops in villages and expect the program to take off.
But what we're doing is we also recognize that right from the beginning that just having laptops in schools is not going to change education. You know, many people have tried that, and then it's a mistake to think that putting kids in front of the computer is going to change the educational landscape in countries like Nepal or elsewhere as well. So many of these initiatives have failed because people have not put enough emphasis on education. So what we did was, okay, technology is just a medium. Now, how do we make sure that it can be made a good enough tool for learning for students? So with that in mind, right from the beginning, we started making educational content. These are curriculum based. So when teacher takes these laptops in the classrooms, turns it on, she's going to see things that she needs to teach. It can be in English. It's actually, we divide in different grades. So grade 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then for different subjects like English, math, Nepali, and science. So these are the kind of activities that we provide to students, and we train the teachers on how to use them in classroom. So it's a very comprehensive approach to using technology to improve education in schools like this one we're in.
Up to now, about 2 million XO laptops have been distributed to kids in 42 countries, from the mountainous ranges of Nepal to the plains of Africa in Rwanda, and to the Latin American countries such as Mexico, Uruguay, and Peru. But just how effective are these laptops to solve one of the most pressing problems in the developing world, that is access to quality education? Shortly after the break.
Some people may argue that the one laptop per child program is impractical for a country like Nepal, whereby it still lacks a lot of basic infrastructures and a large chunk of the population still live in rural villages. But it could also be a very promising method for countries like Nepal and countries like it, developing countries, to provide quality and affordable education to all of their people.
I think everywhere else, I think countries, societies, communities face many problems in their daily lives. You know, you can even argue that there are so many people hungry in Nepal. Why are we investing so much in education? But we cannot just wait for everything to come into place, fall into places before we start, you know, initiatives like this. It is very important. You know, we're not saying, you know, at one point right now we have to give laptops to every child in Nepal. That's not what we're trying to say. Is we start building on it. You know, we start doing it, and then we try to see, when we see that it's something that's beneficial for our students and for our children, when parents see that this is a great tool, then I think the communities will find a way to pay for it. You know, I hear, I mean, the example I always give is some in remote part somewhere in Africa. I hear about sort of people. What they do is they sort of rig together car batteries and everything to watch television. Why are they doing it? Because it's entertainment. It's because it's something they find value in, and they will find a way to do it. Similarly, I think in Nepal, what we're trying to do is we're trying to show that this is not as costly as what we think it is. If you look at the overall budget of the education budget of the country, it's like 56 billion rupees. So compared to that, it's because most of that money is going and being wasted, if you really think about it. We pay salaries. I mean, I think about 70-80% of that budget goes towards paying salaries to, different people who work in the education sector, but very little is going towards development. So one of the things we're also arguing is we're showing that, look, we can do this in Nepal, and we also want to show that how can it be done in Nepal. Obviously there will be failures and there will be successes, but we have to learn from it. We don't have a silver bullet. We don't have an answer. Right from the beginning, we were saying that just putting laptops in front of kids is not going to change anything. So let's find out how to do it. There's no argument that this is not going to benefit, but we just have to find a way how to do it best. And it will be different from different contexts. In this rural area, it might be the success approach might be a little slightly different from what you do in the city area. So we have to find that. And I think more and more what we're finding over the past 4 years now is teachers and students and schools are approaching us now saying, look, we have some money we want to put into this. Can you help us? So we have developed a model whereby anyone can come up with the hardware. We're not just tied to this laptop. It can be any computers, but what we give them for free is all the educational materials that we've developed, and we help with the training so that it can be used successfully.
So the education material is developed by OLE Nepal.
Right.
This complements the public education system.
Right. It's actually based on the national curriculum. And what we've done is, instead of having some programmers sit in a corner and make these cool games, what we've done is we brought together some curriculum experts, government experts, as well as other people who've been working in education, primary education for a long time, and people who understand how children learn. They understand, how to sort of present concept to students and how they grasp it, because different students learn in different ways. So these people sit together, and what we told them is, look, you don't have to be able to do programming, but understand how children learn. And here's a platform where we can use animation, we can use multimedia, and text and all of that thing. And there are these learning objectives that are outlined in the curriculum, and we're asking them, so can you come up with these kind of games that help students learn the objectives that are outlined in the curriculum while having fun? So it is the beauty of technology is interactive. And students, and one of the things we emphasize on one-to-one interaction with these laptops is so that students can learn at their own pace. You don't have to feel pressure. You don't have to feel sort of ashamed to answer incorrectly and be ridiculed by friends. So they can learn at their own pace. And the best way for anyone, I mean, you and I also know, adults also know that we learn best when we're doing something, right? So instead of listening all the time, if you do it, of course you will make mistake. And then with technology, with these activities, what we do is the students instantly get feedback on why it was a mistake. So they know right there, and they can apply it again, and that's how they learn.
More than anything, the laptop seeks to build students' confidence to interact and experiment with learning materials which otherwise traditionally would have been provided by teachers who themselves may not be that well equipped or knowledgeable. So this method has the ability to empower and change how students learn. But it might take a long time for the program to show any results. How do you gauge the efficacy of such program?
There are two things, right? So when it comes to success, there is this people from academic background who are very keen to do studies on the impact. They want to compare. Here are the set of students who got laptops. Here are the set of students who didn't get laptops. Let's give them math tests and see the difference. I'd say that in the first 2-3 years, you're not going to see any difference, because if you look at it with technology, what we're trying to do is a little deeper than just teaching them how to solve math problems. We're trying to get them to think for themselves. We're trying to get them to build the confidence in thinking that I can do this, and also get them to start thinking about what it is they're doing, and so it's actually a big shift in the paradigm in education. So there has been, I think, in Peru, they did some studies and they said, oh, with the math results don't make much difference. But I think you have to wait 10 years before these little kids, graduate from high school, and then they go on and see how they're approaching problems and the confidence that they're building. That's where you will see the difference. That's one. And the other success, if you just look in the school level, in the programs that are running, success and failures we can just easily see by the kind of leadership and the enthusiasm that teachers have here in the schools. So we can easily see that a school where everything else is running well, then the program, the chances of program being successful is much higher. But if you think that a school that has many other problems about attendance, about kind of not the lack of sense of agency with the school, in those places, it'll be it'll be foolish to actually think that you can just go in there, put the laptops and solve all the problems. So that's why in the training, everything we approach, and when we look for schools, we make sure that it has a strong community support and community ownership, so that parents actually say, look, this is our school, this is where our kids are getting laptops. We want to make sure that it's utilized properly, and we'll make sure that nobody steals them, and then nobody damages them, and make sure that teachers are doing their job well, so that the students benefit most from these kind of investments.
Investment is also a crucial factor in this initiative. The One Laptop Per Child project across the world kicked off mostly through private funding and donations. While its objective is noble and ambitious, to change the education sector and to integrate ICT in learning as a whole requires partnership and support from the policymakers, and that means the government. When we come back, Rabi tells us how he got the Nepalese government on board in this initiative. Teachers bear the main responsibility to impart knowledge. But with the One Laptop Per Child program, Rabi Kamacharya, founder of OLE Nepal, hopes to bring a change to the teaching and learning in the classroom. At the same time, to help address some of the problems the education sector faces in Nepal.
What of the education system in Nepal currently?
We have a lot of problems, So starting from, let's say, teachers not attending, and the number of schools and the distribution of schools, and there are many challenges that we're facing. And I do think that if we can use technology more widely, and then make teachers can play a role of more facilitators, so that's less of a burden for teachers as well. There are places where teachers have to teach 100 children in a classroom. You can never teach like that, right? So, but if you can divide that and then sort of provide some kind of means, so technology can be a kind of assistant for the teacher, so that the kids can do a lot of things on their own, and the teachers facilitate the learning, and then sort of so eventually what we want to do is change the way children learn, and change the way the classrooms are run. Instead of the teacher giving all the answers, giving all the information, kids look for them, share them, and then, I think that's the best way for them to learn.
A non-profit organization, OLE Nepal realizes that in order for the program to yield bigger, substantive and long-term results to change the education sector as a whole, the government needs to get on board.
How much support do you see from the government for this initiative that you're running?
We have partnered with the government right from the beginning. So in 2007, 2 months after we registered our organization, we signed an agreement with the Department of Education. And even before that, we had been lobbying, we had been presenting the idea to the government, because OLE is an organization. Our organization right now is working with about 60 schools, and we have 30,000 schools. So there's no way that organizations like ours, we can have 10 organizations, there's no way we can reach to 30,000 schools. So only way we can reach to 30,000 schools is to work with the government, and we have to bring in policy level changes to introduce this kind of teaching and learning approaches in our schools. So having said that, we cannot just go to the government and say, hey, look, this is a great idea. I think we want a new policy to introduce this to the ministry. It's not going to happen. The partnership is, we formed this partnership, and the main reasons behind it is, one is to get the government's expertise in this. We want them to say, okay, these are the things that might work, these are the things that might not work, because they have a history of working with schools. And the second is for them to also gain confidence in themselves that we can do this. Because one of the things that we come across a lot in when you go to offices and schools is, oh, I don't know if we can do this, this hasn't even been done in developed countries. Are you sure we can do it? So we're trying to get the government and to understand that each one of them has a different role in this. You do not need to know programming, you don't need to be a computer whiz, but if you are a teacher trainer, then you can train the teachers on how to use this in classroom teaching learning process, because fundamentally we're not changing anything. How children learn is still the same. What we're changing is, what we're giving is an extra medium that is powerful for children to learn, which also allows them to learn on their own a lot when in the absence of teachers. That'll also encourage peer learning. They can collaborate with each other. So all of this, we want the government is one of the key stakeholders. We want them to understand and say, yes, we can do this. And so in that way, we have been, fairly successful. This year, the government has come out with an ICT is Information Communication Technology, ICT in Education, a directive that has gone to all the districts saying, these are the things the government wants to do, and there has been a master plan that has been prepared on how to use technology in schools. And if you look at that master plan, a lot of the things are it's almost like what we've been doing. So, the lesson that we've learned through this has been applied in policy level documents now.
While the policies will take time to be rolled out, students at the Chandi Devi Primary School are just happy exploring the new XO laptops they received.
So they're excited to learn from the laptops, and one of the things that they say that's very exciting is because it has audio, and so it tells you, it speaks to you, it tells you stories, and that's why that's very interesting for them.
The kids enjoy learning, but keeping them in school is a big problem. According to Sarina, many students have no choice but to stop studying after primary school to help their families.
I think one of the big challenges that places like this have, which is mostly agriculture-based societies, what happens is everybody is working in the field, right? And so they also get help from their kids, either to take care of their siblings. So if the parents are working in the farm, these children will be taking care of their younger siblings. That's one of the challenges. And so a lot of times what happens is when there is a farming season, instead of coming to the school, sometimes they have to stay back and take care of the kids. That's one of the big challenges. And the other is sometimes parents want their kids to come and work with them, help them with their cattle rearing, help them with farming, help them with many other household work. And so that is a little bit sometimes hampers their coming to school, or their finishing their homework, or them putting a lot of interest in their studies.
The challenges are immense, but for people like Sarina and Rabi, bridging the rural-urban, poor and rich divide in Nepal has to start with education through innovative and inclusive tech-based approach.
We are working very closely with technology and trying to see how we can integrate technology in our education. Now, the overall goal would be, using this, when we say improving education, like I said earlier, is to improve the quality of education, which means literacy is not just, we don't want students just to be able to, people just to be able to read and write, but able to think for themselves and make decisions that are, educated sort of decisions in their lives. So in the long run, what we plan to do is work closely with the government, with other stakeholders, and expand programs like this. So make educational materials available to more and more students. We have built a digital library that we install all over the country and has about 4,000 books already, and they're children's books. There are like books for adults. So what that is giving is, instead of having to take 4,000 books in every school, which is going to be very costly, if you just put a little server that you'll see in this school what we've done, and it has the library, it has the Wikipedia, it has a lot of educational games, videos, and you don't even need an internet. And then they can access them easily. And these are the things that community can use as well. So they can come here on Saturdays and holidays, access different things that they can read. There's a lot of materials about agriculture and about livestock and all of that. So our goal is to leverage many innovations that will take place in technology, in advancement, to make education more accessible and more meaningful all over the country.
Education is the key to breaking the cycle of poverty, and the One Child, One Laptop program has the potential to do so. However, its efficacy remains to be tested in time, and also with additional and sustainable support system. Cynthia Ng for Astro AWANI.